Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Talking Reds. My name is Mo Stewart. Alongside me is Rob Gutmann. I can touch you, Rob, we're in the same room. In fact...
Don't touch me, man.
Not that important. Although we are in the boardroom, this is where important things happen, surely. Yeah. It kind of makes me feel like we are delivering the news right now.
Should we pretend we're in Boston? Yeah, we've come to Boston today.
Well,
we haven't.
I mean, it's funny. Part of the theme of the show is going to be there's a really large bit of news that we're not really allowed to tell you yet, but might well be coming soon. But before all of that, there are football games that have happened and there are football games to come, and we are going to talk about those.
Let's talk about them.
Obviously, hopefully some of you will have seen the free show where we just dissect Southampton in greater detail, so I'm going to kind of surf over a couple of other points. The main thing I felt when watching that game though, Rob, is that it was one of those where at the end of the game you can look at it and you can count the positives. You can say another goal for Mane, a clean sheet, Reece Williams back in the team, a goal for Thiago. But it still didn't look convincing. It still was a tough watch a lot of the time.
Yeah, you know, I've debated this back and forward. I'm on the side of I think we did okay. I think everything we do at the moment is through the lens of it's all a bit unsatisfying and we might not qualify for the Champions League. So I don't know really what Liverpool have to do at the moment to leave us at the end of a Liverpool game going, brilliant. Because even I think if we tonk someone 5-0, the first thing any of us are going to say is, yeah, but you can't trust them to do that next week.
Yeah,
so
true.
Again, I think what was better was we set about our task more brightly, as we did against Newcastle and Leeds. We are now seeing Liverpool turn up in the first half of games, which wasn't a thing for a good while, if you remember.
True.
And we hadn't scored in the first half for a number of games on end prior to the recent spate of goals. And I think we were good at times. I mean, I thought the approach play and the link-ups were really nice and the chances created were good in the first half, before we argued, both sides arguably tired second half. So I'm taking a 2-0 as a 2-0 as a 2-0. Wins are wins at this stage.
I mean, that's a fair point. I think the 2 is the most important part here, because as much as you say there are real positives about it, for the last 20 minutes of that game, we were all still waiting for that equaliser, the way it had come against Leeds and Newcastle. But it didn't come, the second goal came. And I think I was looking back through the numbers and I was just thinking about how important this 2-0 is and how many times we've scored 2 goals. We've scored 2 goals 24 times this season.
Just like having Liverpool 2 on the score,
well, 2 or more. 2 or more.
Right.
And we've won 21 of those games. And if you think that one of the games that we didn't win was the draw against Everton at Goodison, which in all intents and purposes was a win, I think you can see how important it is getting that second goal and being able to control the game from there, and how we've really been missing it in these last few weeks.
No, it's very true. I mean, I think it has been the story of the season since the turning point game, which I would mark as the West Brom game on, I think was it Boxing Day or around then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was the first time you thought, are we not going to get this second goal here? And the game went on. It's the first time, looking back on it, that West Brom game was the same as Leeds, it was the same as Newcastle.
Yeah, it was.
And those games were also the same as but then again, there have been a number of other games this season, you think since Christmas, I'm thinking like Burnley, Fulham, Brighton, all at Anfield, which were the same game except we don't get the first goal.
Yes.
We get no goals.
No goals.
And therefore we lose. So scoring one and conceding one is progress of sorts. Winning 2-0, definitely progress.
For sure.
Look, yeah.
I mean, I think we have to shout out part of the reason why we allowed to go to 2-0 as opposed to 1-1, and that's the performance of Alisson. He did have that one little wobble where he kicked it straight to one of their players, but thankfully he didn't score. But outside of that, it was a performance of authority, a commanding performance, one that kind of made everyone feel a little bit more comfortable, because he's another one who people have been saying that maybe he's not been at his best for a longer period than maybe as some people would want to admit, but that looked like the Alisson we all know and love.
Yeah, he's had a strange season. He's had niggles, he's had injuries, he had COVID, I think, didn't he, early on? Yeah, he did. He's had a very strange season. He's made more mistakes this season than in the other seasons. And he made a big rick. I mean, it's a strange one, he was man of the match. He played really well. The stop he makes in the first half where he anticipates the ball being put across and the closing down of the forward. I said this on the main show yesterday, the series of calculations he makes there are just world class. It's an amazing piece of goalkeeping. But he does nearly undo it all. And I have to say, had that Southampton player slotted as he should have done, I just don't think we'd be very interested in talking about that first half save. That's the vagaries of football.
And particularly of being a goalkeeper, is that it literally can change all on one moment. And I think that's kind of why when they're good, we don't give them enough praise for being good, because the concentration that takes. And when they're bad, we all see it. So I want to shout out Alisson. Hopefully this is going to be the beginning of something, a strong end to the season for him, which will allay some of the fears we've had. I have to mention as well the fact that that game performance was happening while his wife was potentially going into labour at any point. We now know that he has indeed got a brand new addition to his family, got a new baby boy. So congratulations to Alisson and the whole Alisson family. And we've also got another baby. I know it feels a little bit like loose women here. We're doing the baby news. But Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's announced that he is expecting his first child with Perry Edwards from Little Mix. And I mean, I make a joke about it. We're kind of doing it, not quite loose women, more like, you know, floppy fellas.
Stupid blokes.
Yeah. But I mean, in terms of a feel-good factor throughout the dressing room, I mean, you saw on the social media posts of both players, all the teammates were in there saying, congratulations, well done. When we've had a season like we have had where everything's falling apart, you do need to cling to these positive moments, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's been loss around the squad. If we're drilling down here, you know, the manager lost his mother, Alisson lost his father in tragic circumstances. This is nice news. You're absolutely right. I'm just wondering though if Alisson got a text to say the baby being born on about the 65th minute as he kicked it out. If so, I forgive him.
Well, I mean, maybe they should look into naming the baby Che or Adams in tribute. Yeah. Okay, so we as I mentioned at the top of the show, we've got two games to talk about. We've got the one that the points are already in the bag, and then we've got to talk about the one where the points aren't yet in the bag, the game against Manchester United, the revisited game from last week. First of all, do you feel more confident about getting a result now than you did on Sunday the 2nd?
Yeah, I do. I was quietly confident then in the sense that they were coming off a Thursday away European game into a Sunday, so I thought that might give us an edge, and the bookies were giving us a slight edge then. I think they'll wait to see what team Ollie puts out against Leicester before they do the odds for our one, because that will affect the team he puts out against Liverpool. United, you know, the sudden compounding of fixtures for them is the big deal here. Yeah. This is the big news. A lot of Liverpool fans are saying Ollie's going to put the kids in against Leicester and the full team against Liverpool. I don't know. He's very much. He did hint that he's going to put in genuine kids in his press conference yesterday before the Leicester game. What do you think?
I mean, he said that, but that doesn't really show out in how he's managed his team so far.
No, I think he'd do 4-5 changes per
game.
game.
If we look at the second leg of the Roma game, they were 6-2 up, and yet so many of their key players played. Shaw played, Maguire played, Fernandes played, Pogba played.
Only Rashford, of the main guys, doesn't really play.
And so Ollie's still at the stage now where he really needs to rely on those guys, those core guys, to get him through. The fact that Harry Maguire started, got himself injured, we don't know if he's out for, what was it he said, he doesn't know if it's 2 days or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That makes me think that he's probably not going to play either of these two games, because he would absolutely want to play against his former team, and he would absolutely want to be, as Manchester United captain, leading them against Liverpool. But I think it's going to have to come out of his hands, and that gives us a massive advantage, because the simple fact is that whatever you think about Bailly and Lindelof as defenders, their manager doesn't trust them as a pair.
No.
So we should have some kind of an impetus into trying to get at them.
I'd be staggered if we see Maguire this week, unless it was just one of those injuries which was a total, it's just a knock, and he ran it and he was fine by the Monday. But I don't think so. It didn't look that way. When a player goes on to try and play on and then has to come off, it's always something semi-serious. So I'll be staggered if we see him. But I also think, just as importantly, I think it will have slightly shaken Ollie. Call him Ollie like he's my mate. Fucking Solskjaer, which is also known.
The baby-faced knobhead.
Baby-faced, yeah. I think it might have slightly shaken. They've had a fairly injury-free run, only Martial out. And I think it might have woken him up and gone, you know, you do need your strongest boys out for that UEFA Cup final, you know. And he might go, oh, really, these games are fairly meaningless for Man U right now. I mean, he might not want to surrender second place because if Chelsea continue their momentum, they could steal second place off United if United, say, fail to win twice this week against Leicester and Liverpool. So I don't know how he'll play it. My guess is that he will do what I think Jurgen would do, not that they're comparable, but I think he'll make 4 or 5 changes for Leicester and another 4 or 5 for Liverpool.
I agree. I think that's the only sensible option. I mean, if I'm Ollie, I'm really saying that the difference between second and third is a lot less than the difference between losing Europa League final and winning Europa League, for winning European silverware, winning a trophy. The amount of noise that surrounds him and his position, if he's got a European trophy on the sideboard, you'd think that he would be of the opinion that it will change it. Okay, let's focus more on Liverpool's team now. Now, obviously they did announce the teams on that Sunday. That team had Ozan Kabak and James Milner in it.
Yeah.
Chances are the team this Thursday won't. Who are you putting in?
What is the news that Kabak is unlikely to play?
I mean, there's been no confirmation, but obviously Twitter rumours are Twitter rumours.
They've been right all season. About an injury, they've been spot on.
I mean, 85% of the time.
Yeah, I know, still high.
It's still high.
The series of absences from Saturday's game were described as minor injuries. Milner, Kabak, who else was it? Keita and Ben Davis. But as you say, if Kabak's out, it's a tricky one. He could gamble. I mean, he did play Reece Williams against United in the Cup and didn't work out brilliantly. But by the same token, he didn't have Fabinho, did he, for that game? Or did he play Fabinho alongside Reece? He might have done.
It was the two of them. That was pre-Phillips.
I think if he has Milner back and he has no Kabak, then he goes, yeah, okay, Fabinho at the back and Milner could slot in alongside Ronaldo and Thiago and he'll feel that's competitive.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the pragmatist in me and in him, I think, says that that's the right decision. There's still a part of me that thinks that Fabinho and Thiago playing together as two, 4 wins out 4. We really need to win this game. I think, are we taking more of a risk using a Reece Williams in defence or breaking up that really worthwhile partnership?
You say we need to win it. It depends what happens against Man United Leicester. I would argue, if Leicester beat United, then I think we must win it. But if Leicester drop points against United, then I think what I said is since Saturday, you look at the series of results, Liverpool need to at least match what Leicester do this week against United. If Leicester lost, a point would be no. I tell you, you'd be a fool not to take a Leicester defeat and a Liverpool draw now. But obviously, Klopp can't plan for a draw even if it's on offer, apart from like the last 20.
No.
But he could go, I'd rather be more cautious. In which case, he might go for Fabinho at the back and go, let's just. There's a scenario where a draw suits both sides here.
I mean, yes, but the problem with the draw is that it brings all those other teams that we really want to be able to forget about, the Spurs, the Everton, even to a certain extent the West Ham. That brings them right back into focus. And if you look at the fixtures West Ham in particular have got, I wouldn't put it past them to win out, which means that we have no margin of error. So I just feel more comfortable thinking that the momentum that we would gain from beating Manchester United, and let's not forget, Klopp's not won at Old Trafford yet.
Oh no!
In this season where we've lost our home record, we've lost our losing to Everton record, we've lost the title, seemed like every single player. If we can kind of gain one back, then I think that in terms of mentality, momentum, going into those last 3 games, it can really make a difference.
It's tricky. I mean, look, of course, a win at Old Trafford would be. I think it would be the foundation for us to do this. Yeah. I think, as it stands today, it could change by the end of tonight. 10 points does it. 3 wins and a draw is very likely, I think, on balance, to get Liverpool that 4th spot. And if you beat United, you then can afford one. You could afford a draw with Burnley or something like that. So, in that sense, yes. And I agree with you about West Ham. But we've currently got. Well, if we played our game in hand on West Ham, what would we be? We'd be equal with them.
Oh no, I think we'd be above them. I think
if we won it, yeah. But if say United's our game in hand, and we only draw it, we're level with them, and it's only goal difference between us.
Ours is better than theirs.
Ours is better. And we both then would have same type of games to play. So it'd be a straight shootout between us and them. I'd sort of take it on that score. Tottenham are a point behind us with having played a game more. So it doesn't tie. It's not. You don't really. I don't think you bring teams back into play as readily when there's only 3 left. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to.
But look,
I'm
you're
trying
right.
to
We should-
avoid
we
a
want to
scenario.
win.
I'm trying to avoid a scenario where an Everton win at Manchester City puts them in and us out. Because if that is the case, if that scenario works, then Manchester City are going to basically bend over and be like, "Come on," because they're going to want Everton in the Champions League above us.
Yeah.
So I think we have to keep those things in mind. And for me, I know that once we get to the 90-minute stage on Thursday, and if we've got a draw, then we can reassess it. But for me, we have to go into that game thinking that this is a must-win game, because I think that's the mentality we need to actually win the game.
I think you're right. I think that's how Klopp will think. I think he'll think they're playing a lot of games. Whatever happens, their eyes off the ball. It's not as meaningful for them as it is for us. It's an opportunity. You'd be mad not to take it. The question is do you seize that opportunity by keeping a rookie at the back with Phillips and strengthening your midfield and keeping them hemmed in, or do you go more compact and put Fabinho in there? I do think we suffered by taking. Ollie was quite happy, and he has been all the times he's played Liverpool, to let us take the game to them and to use his pace on the counter.
Yes.
And I think we did that to Chelsea, we did that to United, we did that to Chelsea, and they both went sound. We got amazing quality on the counter-attack, and they just picked us off.
I mean, Man United literally did that to Aston Villa a couple of days ago.
Yeah. I just would like us to be a little less naive and sit maybe 10 yards deeper, and let's shadow box a little bit with them. Try and wear them out. Wait our moment, strike, and see what happens. I think we'd be better that way rather than trying to absolutely pin them in and dominate possession.
Yeah, I think so too. I also think that when we do try and do those things, in those periods where we get on top, if we then don't score, it becomes a negative rather than a positive that we've had all that play. So
yeah.
I'm with you on that one. Lads, however you do it, we don't care. Just win the bloody game, really. Okay, so admin time before we leave. Some of you may have noticed that there's a little thing down there that says join. That means that you can join on YouTube, our premium video channel, so you can become a YouTube member. That gives you full notice of the post-match pint as opposed to the 5-minute version. You get 1 premium video a day. You've got new shows out there for you, like The Shape, The Moment, The Game, The Final Word, all beginning with the. Maybe we're like an early noughties rock band. We've got loads of those coming out.
With the Talking Reds here.
The Talking Reds.
By the way, this made me think, are we YouTubers? Does this make us YouTubers?
I mean,
this is on YouTube. If I can tell my kids I'm a YouTuber.
I was going to say, if this is what you need to tell your boys.
To be a YouTuber.
Yeah. I mean, literally, this is going out on YouTube, so yes, we are.
I'm definitely a YouTuber.
Now, as I said earlier in the show, there is something really big that, oh God, I wish I could tell you, but we can't yet.
I'll tell them.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. No.
Yeah, I mean, okay, all right. All we'll say is that hopefully something really big is coming out on Anfield Wrap later today. So keep your eyes peeled. If not, then alas, we will have to kind of keep you entertained with all the other great quality content that we have, as it is anyway.
We're saying it's certain, but not certain.
You were saying so, yeah. I mean, honestly, if you knew what I knew, then you would understand why I'm like, but don't. Or I will tell you for now, keep your eyes peeled.
It's not that we're signing Mbappe. I can't stress that enough.
For goodness sake, Rob.
Oh, I've spoiled it.
Okay, it might be. No, it's not that we're signing Mbappe. Yeah, I can't even really give any hints. I mean,
but you're dying to, aren't you?
look,
I've never seen someone so dying to give hints.
Yeah, I mean, I'm normally quite good with secrets, but yeah, this one is killing me. So all I will say is definitely keep an eye on the social media channels of the Anfield Wrap in the near future. Maybe by the time we've done this, it will be confirmed that we are or aren't doing this thing. So anyway, I've spoken about it too much. There's plenty of other stuff out there on the Anfield Wrap for us to keep you entertained in case it doesn't happen. But
boy, it pales by comparison to
It's all good. Honestly, it is all good. And as always, Rob, this conversation has been all good. I've enjoyed it. I've not even kept my eye on the time. I've absolutely no idea how long this has gone on for.
Too long.
Probably too long.
Too long.
But hey, you get the benefits of it. Rob, it's been great talking to you as always. Let's hope for another Liverpool victory on Thursday night.